Archana, good evening. Can you please respond? Archana, can you unmute yourself and just tell me whether you're getting my audio or not?
Yes, sir, I am audible to you.
You're audible. Am I audible to you?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Good evening. Good evening, Archana.
Sir,
Good evening.
good evening. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Muhammad Moizuddin.
Sir,
Good
good
evening.
evening.
So, other people are joining. We can exchange some pleasantries. So, I hope both of you are working or you're still students. What is the status? Mohammed and Archana, you're students or you're working?
No,
How
sir,
will
I am working, sir.
you're working? Very good, very good. So work from home or you go to an office?
No, no, sir, we have to go to office
Oh, good, good.
morning,
Nice. So
morning
we
shift.
have like more people. We have Supriya who got connected. We have Archana. We have Mohammed. Good evening, Supriya. Good evening, Sriman
Good
Narayana,
evening, sir.
Ramana Ganta. So let's maybe a little nature break.
Yes, sir.
So I know it must be tough sitting from 6 to 7 and 7 to 8 and 8 to 9. So we'll excuse them so that they can go ahead.
No, it's a good time, sir, because most of the people are working people, no?
Correct,
This
correct.
is the right time. Daytime, it is very difficult to attend the classes.
Correct, absolutely, absolutely. I totally agree, Sriman Narayana. But I also request all of you to be a little more interactive so that, and I hope that all of you are listening to this, watching these lectures on laptop or all of you on mobiles.
I am using mobile only, sir, because
Preferably, what happens is my style of teaching is I also show you a lot of slides and lot of
yes,
maps. So if you have a laptop, it makes more, it is much better because what happens is the screen becomes very less when you're trying to see it on a mobile. I know there are a lot of limitations. If possible, try to see it on a laptop. Otherwise, if there is laptop is not available, I think it. But I'm told that these lectures are being streamed onto the YouTube. So once you get a YouTube link, if you can watch it on a TV or something, I think it will make more sense.
yes.
So I have around 8 people. What was the strength in the session from 7 to 8?
Actual 7 to 8, it was 12, sir, total, including host.
Well, that's a very nice one, including the
Maximum strength will be 15.
15.
Hmm.
That is maybe for 6 to 7 session, right?
Sometimes only for 7 to 8.
It's
OR
like
class is going on. Most of the people are attending for OR because it is problematic, no?
okay. So they feel that if you don't
Yeah.
attend the OR class, you might not pass or something. Good.
Yes.
It's nice. So nice. So maybe the OR class should have been kept on 8 to 9, and maybe I should have been given 7 to 8.
Yeah,
That's
maybe.
perfectly all right. So
This 8 to 9 is dinner time mostly. That's why people may skip your
I
class.
know. Or see, anyhow, you're not on video, so you can always go and have your dinner because and
Correct. Correct.
and enjoy your dinner and also have a class. So it's very unique in the sense that 35 years ago, or when I passed 37 years ago, I never even imagined that we'll be having sessions through a laptop. And for example, some of you might even be in other states or other countries also. That's one benefit of internationalization and globalization. And I remember going to Ethiopia and 1 minute of talk time was 72 rupees. Nowadays, everybody's available on Zoom or WhatsApp, and it's amazing. A lot of good things have been done by this globalization. A lot of bad
Not
also.
only that, sir. Recently, because of COVID, most of the people are addicted for these kind of lectures and
Correct. But
presentation.
what happens, Reman, if you had this class physically, you will get lot more because you'll interact, you can ask more doubts,
Yes.
it will be
Yeah.
lively. But then that's how it is. So let's go
Because
back
of
because
many other constraints, people are
absolutely. B.R. Ambedkar is very far away. You're all working. I am staying in Miapur. So let's not spend more time on talking. So we
I am
had
from
stopped.
Hydernagar, sir.
Pardon?
Hydernagar, sir. I am from Hydernagar.
Very good, very nice. So good that you stay quite close. So can you see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So in the end, suddenly it is getting cut off. So this time,
Yeah, after 1 hour, host automatically disconnect the session.
I think maybe you should tell him that he should wait a little more, but that's okay because
No,
abruptly it is
it's not possible, sir. Automatically the
correct,
session
absolutely.
will be
So we
disconnected.
had stopped here. We were looking at what are the strategic motives of companies going for international business. It is not necessary that all companies have to go for exports or globalization. So, but what happens is, let us take a company, a country like US with very limited population, or let us take countries like UK, France, Germany. They have very limited population, or the population is decreasing. So they have no other option than to go for foreign countries and um, succeed. And even India also would like to tap into markets where there is more profitability because, as you all know, that India is a very tough domestic market with not much potential for profit. So they would definitely like to go and try their chance in other countries. And let us take small countries like Singapore, Hong Kong, and all the Scandinavian countries like Finland, Norway, Sweden. They're so small that, for example, if you're seeing that company Nokia came from Finland, and Finland is a very small country. But what happened was Finland took to the route of globalization, and the Nokia became one of the biggest smartphone players in the world. So highly populous countries with huge market shares can excel in the domestic market also. Like my teacher always used to say, India is not one country. It is maybe 29, 30 countries in one. So like they say, for every 20 miles or 20 kilometers, the language changes, the culture changes, the food changes, the habit changes. But in spite of that, maybe if you're looking at some very specialized products like services, if you're looking at services like software, I think the software companies also have to go. And you must have heard as children, if you have eggs, you don't put all of them in the same basket. You try to put your eggs in different markets. And then what happens is the risk rate spread. And operating in several countries reduces dependence on any one particular market. For example, uh, let us take USA. And let us take suddenly USA becomes very angry on a company called McDonald's, and they'll say, okay, we don't like you. You exit out of USA. McDonald will not be affected very much because even though McDonald has started in USA, they have spread to nearly 200 countries. And out of, let us take, I think the turnover of McDonald is something like $28 billion. That is roughly around 200 2 lakh crores. So they will not be affected because only 15% of the sale of McDonald comes from United States and 85% is coming from all other countries. So that way, they don't have any longer any home country. So they'll spread all over the world, and also there will be market diversification. So let us, when we are talking about strategic expansion, I want you to look at this um, picture or a graph. And if you have seen, I've circled a particular location called Istanbul. And Istanbul is the capital of Turkey. Can anybody say, why did I pick up this country? For example, if somebody asked me, in which country would you like to start your international business or international branch? I would say Turkey. Can anybody say why I picked up Turkey? Because that is why I said if you are looking at this with your on your laptop, it would have been much better, but that's all right. So why do you think I picked up Turkey as a country for strategic expansion? What is so great about Turkey? Sriman Narayana?
Yes, sir.
So why did I pick up Turkey, and let us take why not Ukraine, Poland, France, or if you're looking at the things in the bottom, we have Algeria, we have Libya, we have Egypt, Saudi Arabia. Why did not I? Saudi Arabia is a very rich country. Why did not I pick up Iran and Iraq, which have got a lot of oil reserves? So what makes this country, Turkey, the one of the most strategic places to expand? Any idea? Anybody quickly?
No idea, sir.
Okay, fine. So if you look at Turkey, and if you're looking towards the right of Turkey, it is Asia. So if you see Iraq, then if you look at Jordan, Syria, if you're looking at Azerbaijan, if you're looking at Georgia, if you're looking at maybe you, so this is the to our right. So to the our right of Turkey is Asia. And if you look at the left of Turkey, you have countries like Ukraine, Romania, Bulgaria, Greece, Hungary, Serbia, Croatia, Italy. So which means Turkey is right in the center of Asia and Europe. That is one of the gifts that what is a God has given Turkey. That Turkey is actually straddling two great continents. On one side, we have got Asia, and other side, we have got what to say, Europe. And if you look at the bottom, can anybody say to which continent this Algeria, Libya, Egypt actually belong to? Any idea? Algeria, Libya, Egypt, they belong to which continent? Okay, they belong to Africa. So if you see, that's the greatness of Turkey, that if you set up an office in Turkey, or if you can get a foothold into Turkey, they say that it will be a getaway for three great continents. One is Europe, another is Asia, another is uh, what is Africa. So then let us take India and China are always at loggerheads, in a sense that we have ideological differences, we have political differences, we have territorial problems. So if at all, if you want to do business with China, and China is not allowing us to enter, what to say, directly, we have place called Hong Kong, and Hong Kong has got a lot of British influence, and Hong Kong is friendly towards India and friendly with China. So if you want to set up a international office, if you want to attract three continents of Europe, Asia, and Africa, it is better to set it up in Turkey. If you want to set up a business in China, if you want to import, export, the best place is to be in Hong Kong. And look at this. We have India, and right next to India is Pakistan. So obviously, if you go to the Wagah border, if you go to the Wagah border, trading with Pakistan should be very, very simple. But then what happens is we have political differences, we have border, problems, we have 2008 terror attacks. So there is no direct trade coming from India and Pakistan. So what happens is Dubai becomes very, very, strategic, that India will export its material to Dubai, and from Dubai it will go to Pakistan, and from Pakistan material will come to Dubai, and from Dubai it will go to Mumbai. Of course, some of you might say that this is not very viable. Yeah, there will be a lot of logistical issues and cost involved, but that's only to do trade, because India and Pakistan on many fronts don't even have good relations. So this is how I suggest that whatever subject that you're doing, that's OR or international business, please be tuned to what is happening on a day-to-day basis, and your subjects will start giving you that much more benefit. So what are the other reasons why companies, that was just a sort of a indicator as which countries are very good. So we want to achieve a higher rate of profit. We want to expand the production capabilities. So when you expand production capabilities, our price will come down because of a concept called economies of scale, which say that once the total production, overall production increases, the cost per unit comes down. So this is a strategy that was taken by China to grow so very quickly. Whereas China took the goods and the products route, India has taken the services route. So both of them have done very well, but China has outstripped us. You'll all be shocked that in 1948, when we and China were competing, the gross domestic product of China and India were almost the same. Now China has galloped and it is maybe having a GDP of 20 times. Then they, what happens is when we have severe competition in the home country. So from Indian companies which are going into the multinational other countries, India will be a home country. So we have severe competition, and this will lead us to maybe try other countries where we'll have better markets. Limited home market. We have talked about countries like US, Canada. Entire Europe has got a aging population. They're looking at other countries. So let us take some countries have severe instability. For example, if you take countries like North Korea, if you take countries like Ukraine, if you take country like Pakistan, if you take a country like Sri Lanka, or if you take a lot of countries like Argentina, for example, all these countries have a lot of problems. Political stability is not there. Economic stability is not there. Inflation is very high. So they would like to go and do business in a country where there is political stability. And lots of time, what happens is there is abundance availability of technology and competent human resources. This is one of the advantages that India had vis-a-vis other countries, that we had good software capabilities and we had competent human resources who could do very good coding. They were good in software and they also had a very fairly good command in English. And that is how our third party companies and outsourcing companies and BPO companies started flourishing. Yeah. So, uh, what could be the uh, what do you say other things? Which means that what happens is if you're only trying to let's just take export and not set up a production base in a foreign country, you will incur a lot of high cost of transportation. So when you set up, let us take a unit, let us take a paradise biryani. To import directly the prepared biryani to UAE might incur a lot of air transportation costs. Instead of that, if they can set up an entire what is a restaurant in UAE, it will work out very well for them. So you'll be real raw materials, availability of human resources at lower cost. We just now we're talking about um, PPO. And then liberalization and globalization has meant that all the countries have opened up. No country is very secretive. Like they say, the world has become a marketplace to increase market share, to achieve higher rate of economic development. And tariffs and import quotas also have been reduced. And all countries are with open arms are asking us to come and invest. And in fact, countries like Ecuador, countries like El Salvador, countries like Dubai, they give what is called as a golden visa. So let us take if you have something like $1 million. $1 million is roughly around 8 crores. So if you can show 8 crores in your bank account, Dubai will give us something called as a golden visa. And this with this golden visa, you can stay in Dubai for 20 years and do whatever business. So a lot of countries are asking that you please come and do business. So entire, even apart from a subject also, if you people have the competent skills and if you have the knowledge, entire Europe is waiting for a lot of Indians to come and settle. Japan is also opening up because Japan is a very aging country where a lot of aging is happening. And if you have good, what is the skills, but only advantages or disadvantages, you should know how to talk in Japanese. Okay, so we'll just run through you so you can enjoy high living standards. So what would be the benefits? Okay, customer is a king. We'll just skip through all this. Okay, I think I'll skip this also. Just a anecdote or a story. Okay, so this was another story of what could go wrong. Maybe when we come to culture, we'll discuss this. Okay, so economic. So what happens when companies global economic growth of the world happens, more export earnings and more foreign remittances. So one of the great things that India has done is the diaspora. When we say diaspora, it means the number of Indian born citizens who live outside the country. And you'll all be surprised that Indian diaspora is the biggest in the world, which means there are something like 1.23 crore Indians who have either Indian passports and Indian origin or whatever. So they're all, what to say, are they set up their companies? And you need not even set up a company. If you work in a foreign country, you get those earnings. And when you're remitting, it becomes foreign direct investment or foreign remittances. India's remittances are the biggest in the world, which means whenever people are working in a foreign country, they give us money through dollars, which are very, very valuable. We can also have optimum and proper utilization of resources. Culturally also, there will be a lot of transformation. For example, if you are able to sit here and have a session on a Zoom, that is nothing but globalization. So we have a cell phone, we have a laptop, we have internet connection, we have broadband connections, we have Zoom meetings, and everything is free and everything is accessible immediately. So that's another benefit. So obviously, life is not a bed of roses, like somebody said. International business is not that lovely. It has got its problems, political factors. For example, when Ukraine got into trouble, we also got into trouble because a lot of oil was imported from Ukraine. High foreign indebtedness, which means when we are depending ourselves on UAE and in Saudi Arabia, Iran, Iraq, Russia for our oil. So we are either we are paying them through dollars, and when we are paying them to dollars, we are going into debt. Exchange instability. So we will get an order. Let us take when it was the dollar was 70, and when by the time we execute it, and suppose we order for some, let's say some material for $1,000. uh, Yesterday we were paying 70 rupees, and within 2 months when the dollar goes up to 80 rupees, instead of 70,000 we'll have to pay 80,000. So exchange instability, sometimes a lot of entry requirements will be there. Suddenly some countries might put in some tariffs, they might say quota. For example, let us take a country like Saudi Arabia might say, no, 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 we'll only take 20% of wheat from you. The other 30% we want maybe from Pakistan or from Bangladesh because of maybe some affinity or closeness to religion, whatever. Lot of countries are extremely corrupt. So not that only it is India. So a lot of other countries are also corrupt. So there are a lot of bureaucratic practices of governments which will interfere. There could be technology that could be pirated. We'll be discussing it very shortly. We could have quality maintenance issues. There could be high cost of what to say, setting up a office in a foreign country, and import intensive industrialization is also another problem. So this is very, very important. International business approaches. So there are four approaches to do business in a foreign country. So one is called ethnocentric approach. So the domestic companies normally formulate their strategies, their product design, and their cooperation towards the national markets. And the domestic companies view foreign markets as an extension to domestic markets. For example, let us take the case of Bajaj. So Bajaj sees India as its major market, and if it wants to do any other exports to foreign countries also, they would give a lot of focus first to the Indian market, and then only the other markets, the same products that are available in India are also marketed in the other markets. Then we have polycentric approach. Under this approach, companies establish foreign subsidiary and empower its executives. For example, in polycentric approach, we'll be talking about the same company, Bajaj. They might start a new, let us take foreign subsidiary in a country called Ethiopia, and it will be run in Ethiopia, but it will be run like an Indian company. We have regionocentric approach where subsidiaries consider regional environment for policy strategy formulation. For example, if you want to know how a regionocentric approach works, for example, a company like Coca-Cola might consider entire Indian subcontinent as one region, which is India, Pakistan, Afghanistan, then Nepal, then we have Bangladesh, then we have Sri Lanka, then we have Maldives. Okay, so all these 7 countries, the SAARC countries, will be called as one region. Then we can have another region called Australia, New Zealand, Fiji Islands as one. Then we have all the other countries like Thailand, then we have Indonesia, Malaysia, that could be one region. And then the last one, which is called a geocentric approach. Companies view the entire country, entire world as a single market. For example, if you take McDonald's, if you take Pepsi, if you take Coke, if you take Subway, if you take Starbucks, if you take Apple, if you take Amazon. So all these countries, they don't have any, what is it, particular favor towards any one country, and they see the entire the world as one what do you say, a market. So we'll now move to another interesting a topic, which I'll just, maybe I'll shift from one to another. So we'll now move to another one, which is international business environment. So I'm now moving on to another interesting topic called international business environment. So like they say, no man is an island, and similarly, no company can, what do you say, survive itself. There is an environment. So I want you to look at this slide very carefully, because we are going to spend maybe a few minutes on this. So if you see, there are 3 concentric circles. So one which is in blue, we call it the internal environment. The other one, which is in maybe white color or gray color, we will call it as a task environment. Okay, and then outside that, we have the general environment or external environment. So if you look at the core, so the core, we have the owners of the business, the board of directors, the employees, and culture. So any company's core environment that dictates what the companies, which is owners, board of directors, employees, cultures. If a company's, let's say the company's culture is very much bothered about customer care. For example, if you take McDonald's, they say that whatever order you give will be served within 60 seconds. And there are, whenever a service person is looking at you, they're supposed to smile. Then they also, when you take the order, that the delivery person will say, enjoy. So all these are the internal or the core environment. And then we have the task environment, which is the core environment is totally controllable by the company. But if you look at the task environment, which is competitors, so it is not only we, then we have competitors, then customers, and then we have suppliers. Suppliers are the people who are supplying us a raw material, and customers are the people whom we are giving the final product. Then we have strategic partners. So strategic partners are people who are helping us in delivering a good product to the customers. And then we have regulator, the government. So we have competitors, customers, suppliers, strategic partners, and regulators as a task environment. And the task environment is slightly influenceable. Then if you look at the general environment, we have a huge blue circle, and this blue circle has got 6 elements in it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I just made it into 6. So if you have a book, please take that book and write it as PEST-PLD. So pest is a sort of insect that will create nuisance. The first environment that we should be very careful is coming on your left side, which is a political environment. So political environment, the politics, how the country is run. And then the next one is economic environment, so which is on our right hand side. Then we have the socio-cultural environment, and then T is for technology which is on the top. Okay, so 2 or 3 things we are adding here. So which is another piece of physical environment. How is the country physically? Is it a dry country? Is it has got does it have deserts? Does it have snow? Is it a fertile land? Is it a sandy land? And L is legal environment. And the final one is called demographic. So if you look, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that are there, which are already existing. We have political, then we have legal. We have also seen legal. Then we have socio-cultural, that is also mentioned here. We have economic, and then we have technological. So what is not there in this particular graph, in this particular slide, but is equally important is a physical environment. And I'm sure you must have studied demographic. Demographics is the description of the customer. So how the customers are, what are their ages, what are their income levels, what is their education, how many people are there in that, what is a family, all this comes under the demographic environment. Why I put this entire thing in a form of a circle is, if you look, at this, the central blue circle is the internal environment is completely controllable by the company. When it comes to task environment, it is slightly controllable, or you could influence it slightly. But once it comes to the general environment, it is completely not controllable and not influenceable. So why I put this in a circle is, think of this as a sun. So where is the sun hottest? At the center. So that is where you have a lot of influence. The sun will be very hot at center. As the sun is expanding when the sun is becoming bigger and bigger, the intensity of the sun will also go down. And that is why you have the least influence in the periphery, the big blue circle, and the most influence in the internal environment. So, the international environment is going through a historic transformation. For example, um, let us take just 30 years ago, not even 30, 22 years ago, when we went to Africa, 1 minute of talk time used to cost us 72 rupees. 1 minute of talk time to USA used to cost 120 rupees. Now everything is free. You can talk on Zoom, you can have a Zoom meeting, you can have a video call, even WhatsApp calls you can make. So the entire environment is becoming very, very easy. And within 10, 12 hours, you can go to the other part of the world. Within 16, 17 hours, you could, what do you say, go to Australia. Within next 5 years, you could travel from Hyderabad to Mumbai in 5 hours. So you get bullet trains. So we are moving away from the world in which national economies are relatively isolated. Now the entire country has become very, very big, and you could travel from one place to another very, very fast. Within 2, 3 days, you can cover the entire SAARC countries. So national economies are merging into an interdependent global economic system. So you could be anywhere, you could be doing business with anywhere, you could order from anywhere. I'm sure a lot of you use Zomato and Swiggy and a lot of things like Myntra, Amazon, Flipkart. So there is no bar on spending whatever you want. You can get a 4 o'clock biryani. You could get a what to say, a very good Irani chai 4 o'clock in the morning. So this emerging global economies create opportunities as well as present challenges and threats to the business. So we have already seen. Let us see what are this micro and macro environment and domestic, foreign, and global. So micro environment, which in our slide we showed it as the internal environment. We can define it as the firm's immediate environment, which directly influences the firm's decisions and operations. So that is what said. It directly influences the firm's decisions, and the company also influences. So this includes suppliers, market intermediaries. Market intermediaries in marketing, you must have studied as marketing middlemen, wholesalers, dealers, distributors, stockists, all those type of people, and service organizations such as middlemen, transportations, transporters, advertisers, marketing research agencies, competitors, customers, and general public. So this we call it as a micro environment. Macro environment consists of broader forces which affect the firm as well as the other forces in the firm's micro environment. So they affect us, but we may not affect the the macro environment immediately. Over a slow process, we can definitely influence it. So these include forces like political, legal, economic, social. So firms need to continuously monitor changes in these environmental forces and devise strategies to cope with them. For example, 30 years ago, we had only the men, we used to call them breadwinners. Now that both men and women are working, so a lot of changes are happening in the society. And with both men and women working, there is a explosion of products which make the work become easier, like dishwashers. Then we have huge refrigerators. We have ready-made mixes like what is the attas and what is it? Yeah, what is a pre-processed dosa batter, idli batter, ragi dosa batter. So we need to monitor the changes. And so that is why if you see 20 years ago, we used to have only 160 liters fridges. Nowadays, they have gone up to 350 and 400 because you need to store more because women are not making food so much. So we only make once and put it in the refrigerator and eat it again and again. So we have, so the classification is based on location in which environmental forces exist and cope. So domestic environment consists of competitive structure, economic climate, political and legal factors which are essentially uncontrollable. Okay, but these operate at a domestic level, and firms are generally familiar with them. So when you're in Indian setup, you know how this work. But when you go to a foreign country, this will become very difficult. For example, let us take we go from here to UK, and let us take we only take our cell phone, and we don't take our debit card and credit card and passbooks. You'll find it very difficult because we Indians in the last 4 or 5 years, we have taken to UPI just like a fish takes to water. And all our transactions we are doing through UPI interfaces. But a lot of countries are not so much UPI, what is a comfortable. They still use their debit cards and credit cards and cash and also checks. And you might find it very difficult to operate. So, but as long as you're in this country, you are comfortable. So foreign environments, we need to be careful. Social, political, economical, legal, and cultural issues prevailing in a foreign country. For example, if you go to traditional Islamic countries like Oman, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Bahrain, Saudi, these are countries where um, generally speaking, most of the decisions are taken by men, and we will find it very difficult to directly even talk to a women unless you are talking to the lady's brother or son or husband. So we need to be very careful when you're dealing with people from another, what is a country. So global environment transcends national boundaries and is not confined in its impact to just one country. So if let us take love for junk food. Now the love for junk products like McDonald's, maybe KFC, Starbucks, Coke and Pepsi now are anywhere. So global environment exerts influence over domestic as well as foreign countries also. So 20 years ago, McDonald's and KFCs were not doing so very well, but within 20 years they've established themselves. And in a lot of places, they give a huge competition to our national breakfast like idli, dosa, puri, chapati, and parota. So obviously, we affect the global environment, and the global environment also affects us. So let us look at these components of the international business environment. If you look now, we have the seven. So if you look now, this PEST, political, economic, socio-cultural, technological, then we have physical environment, legal environment, and demographic environment. So you may please remember them as PEST, PEST, and followed by PLD. So seven environments. The first one is the political environment, and I am very, very sure that all of you are very eager for what will happen on the 4th because We have all voted, and we still don't know that which political party will come to the power. So the crux of any business is a political environment. It is at that place where all the decisions are taken. So the sovereignty, self-determination, independence from external interference, authority over all nationals. For example, in 1977, the first non-Congress government came into power, and that was the Janata Party. And that Janata Party said that foreign countries should stay in this, foreign companies should stay in the country only if they're able to give 51% of the share or 51% of the equity to Indian companies. A lot of foreign companies, I'm sure that none of you are even aware, a lot of foreign companies like Coke, Pepsi, what do you say, even what is it? It's, um, that international businessman, IBM, these companies left India. They're saying, no, 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 we'll not give our 51% equity. So for 14 years, from 1977 to 1991, we never had any foreign products available. It was only Maruti car, it had Fiat car, we had uh, Thumbs Up, and we have Thrill and these type of products. What happened in 1991 was PV Narasimha Rao's government under the what is it, under the 1991 Congress government under the leadership of PV Narasimha Rao and under the uh, former Finance Minister Manmohan Singh opened up the Indian economy, and it is very popularly called as LPG liberalization, privatization, and globalization. So that was a political environment that was created in 1991, and from that time we grew by leaps and bounds. And there are very few foreign companies which don't have a presence in India now. So we have Rolex watches, we have the Reeboks, and everything you name it, we have them here. So international trade limits sovereignty. So governments can invoke sovereignty and jeopardize firms' operations. Suddenly, the country might say, no, 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 you're not being good for this country. You may please leave, and this will create problems. So, political environment, we should be very, very careful. So, please remember what happened last year. We were getting lot of cheap oil from Ukraine, and suddenly there was a war between Russia and Ukraine, and that war is still going on. This affected our economy very badly because we need a lot of crude oil, and luckily we could get even though there were sanctions which were imposed on Russia, the Prime Minister Narendra Modi took a very bold step, and we got oil from Russia, and that is why it could tide over. If we did not have a agreement with Russia, and if we could not get the Russian crude oil at a cheap price, Iran and Iraq and Saudi Arabia could have bled us, and our inflation could have gone very high, just like the inflation that is touching Pakistan and Sri Lanka. But luckily, we could get. So this was a problem that was caused by the political system. That is because Russia invaded Ukraine. So then so what are what are the type of political risks that are associated with countries? The risk involved related to government trade policy like tariffs. So suddenly the government might say, no, 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 if you're importing rice and wheat, instead of 10% tax or tariff, you'll put it at 30%. They might say that every company can only have an exchange of $100,000. They might say quotas. For example, they might say only 1,000 tons of wheat or 1,000 tons of mangoes or 1,000 tons of, let us take, what is a Banganpalli mangoes can be exported. So they might say, they might put a levy on import-export licenses. They might put some sanctions. For example, if you see when we exploded the nuclear bomb, America had put a lot of sanctions saying that because you've exploded, we are not going to give this product. So that risk will always be there. So there could be, the government could control us by taxes. And lots of time what happens is the transfer of assets might happen from the company to the government. For example, the government might simply confiscate it without any compensation. They say, you're operating in our country, from tomorrow you'll not operate at all. Expropriation, which means they might give you 30% of the equity. For example, if you spend 100 crores, they might give us only 30 crores. Creeping expropriation, which means they might put us in a lot of paperwork, in judicial system, legal cases. Nationalization, simply the local governments will take over. Then there might also be a risk of domesticization, transfer to local enterprises. This is what happened in 1977 when the Janata government said that you cannot exist as a foreign country. You will have, sorry, foreign company. You will have to become a local company. So there are risks related to labor and action groups. For example, when KFC came for the first time, there was a lot of what is a heartburn. There was a lot of people who got very angry at KFC because they thought that they'll import a lot of foreign chicken and local poultry industry will go into loss. And similarly, when Walmart wanted to come to India, the entire Kirana shop community got threatened. So there is also the risk of terrorism. So terrorism is always there. Excuse me, just touch on that. So this risk of terrorism always will exist, that something untoward will happen and we will suffer. So let us look at this very interesting graph. That is why I kept on saying that you should be looking at these from a laptop. If you look at this, green means absolutely having the least political risk. So Canada, United States, we have Australia, and lots of places in uh, Europe. We have Norway, Sweden, Finland, then we have England. So those are the countries that are very, very safe. In that light green color, we have lots of places in Europe, including France. Then we have Spain. Then we have a lot of other countries in France. Then we have this light yellow, which means they're a moderate risk. So if you see, surprisingly, so even China is supposed to be in the second category. So, but if you look at India, they've given us yellow color, which means there's a moderate risk. We have India in yellow, which means there is some risk in operating in India. We have Malaysia, we have Indonesia, then we have Philippines, we have Mexico, we have Colombia, all these yellow colors. Then coming on to the danger colors, which are more what is a darker yellow, which have Brazil, Bolivia, we have Paraguay, then we have the entire southern part of Africa, that is Congo, Kenya, Tanzania, we have what is it, South Africa, Angola, then we have Egypt, we have Nigeria, these are risky countries. And then you have the high risk. We have Argentina, which is at very high risk. We obviously have Russia, which is fighting. We have Ukraine. Then we have Pakistan. We have Iraq, which is again having a huge problem. We have North Korea. Then we have Mali. Surprisingly, even though I don't accept Ethiopia because Ethiopians are fighting among themselves, we have Zambia. So this is how, when we are trying to assess the political risk, on the green side, we have very safe countries, and on the red side, we have dangerous countries. So how do we minimize this political risk, you might ask me. So you should understand and be favorable to both the ruling and the opposition party. So if you see most of the companies that operate in India or in any other country, they are friendly. For example, if you take in India, they're friendly towards BJP, they're friendly towards Congress, they're friendly towards Trinamool Congress, they're friendly towards DMK, they're friendly towards BRS, they're friendly towards a Samajwadi Party. So they don't have any political favorites. So they would what to say, they will keep hands off, or they will maintain their neutrality to both the ruling and opposition parties, because you never know which party will come to power, and you never know which party will remain in opposition. So the best thing is to be politically neutral. Be exemplary corporate citizens, because foreign countries are always seen with suspicion. So it is better to have be excellent corporate citizens, not to cheat the public, pay the taxes properly, take part in corporate social responsibility, sell a quality product or service that is essentially for local development. So we don't want them to sell us harmful products that will spoil our environment. Partner with local companies and create local expertise. A lot of companies, when foreign countries, or foreign companies, when they come to India, most of their employees would all be local people if they come to India, except the top boss who might sit in Delhi, might be a foreigner, but all the other people will be Indians. Use local suppliers, obtain insurance coverage against nationalization, confiscation, and even terrorism. So we are now looking at the international legal environment, international laws, host country law, home country law, legal system, common code, civil law, Islamic law. Why we should be very careful about the Islamic law is, in Islam, taking of interest is haram. So if you are entering into, let us take Saudi Arabia, if you are entering into UAE, if you are entering into Oman, Yemen, Qatar, Bahrain, you should be very careful as how you are going to put this interest part, because most what is it, Muslims get offended about this idea of paying interest on a loan. So you should be very careful as how you are going to handle it. So we have a lot of intellectual property rights that become very, very important. So this come under the legal environment. Violation of international property rights is a significant threat to the competitiveness of international cooperation. For example, you might have a Nike shoe, and Nike shoe in India might retail around, let's say, 5,000 rupees. And then the locally made, what is a fakes or first copies might sell at 500 rupees. And they will look exactly like the originally made MNC Nike. And customers sometimes even get fooled, and they might buy the fake product thinking that it's original. So losses attributed the violation of international property rights are estimated to be $60 billion a year. That is a staggering figure. So 60 billion into 80. So that's 4,80,000 crores. Okay, that's almost 5 times annual budget of Telangana. So the highest losses are in software, 11 billion, entertainment, 8 billion, and pharmaceutical, 1 billion. There is a saying in Shanghai, in a very jovial way, there was a saying in Shanghai, we can copy anything except your mother. So we cannot copy your mother, but anything else we will copy it. Even fake blood plasma also they can make. That's the amazing thing about this backward integration that the Chinese can do. They'll take a product, strip it apart, and within 10 days, you'll have a duplicate Apple iPhone selling at 5% of the cost. So then how do we protect ourselves is we can, what is a file for a patent. So protection of the rights of the inventor of the firm to use and sell the invention for a specified period of time. For example, let us take, I'm coming out with a wonder drug which can cure cancer. I can apply for a US patent, and the US federal government will give me a patent for 20 years. And for the 20 years, nobody else can make the same product. And if anybody else is making the same product, I can sue them in the court of law. Copyright, rights of the owner of the original work of art, literature, music, film, design to reproduce, sell, perform, or film. So we have copyright. So only the people who are having the copyright can sell, and nobody else can. So we can protect ourselves with copyrights. We can use trademarks. So if you have a unique brand name, mark, symbol, motto, slogan, for example, just do it of Nike. So which identifies a brand and distinguishes it from competitors, Rolex, Gucci, Fendi. So design copying without the trademark is legal, but once you put the design, it becomes illegal. Trade secret. So for example, they say that only 4 people in the world know the exact formulation of a Coke. So know-hows, formulas, and special blends that are not registered, and thus not protected by law. But then, for example, the spices that are used by KFC, and the spice that is sprinkled on the fried chicken is a secret of KFC. Similarly, the brew, the coffee brew that Starbucks is using is a secret. Similarly, is the secret of the Coca-Cola. So these are all the things: copyrights, trademarks, patents. We have seen industrial designs, geographical indicators, place names. In fact, I have a beautiful example which will come next. So for example, if you say Tirupati Laddu, Tirupati laddu can only be made at Tirupati. So even if somebody makes the exact laddu somewhere else, it cannot be called a Tirupati laddu. So this is called a geographical trademark. So Tirupati laddu can be, and Khaja, sorry, when we say Putarekulu, it's only Atrayapuram. So similarly, lot of food themselves, for example, Paradise Biryani, wherever it is made, it will remain as Hyderabad Paradise Biryani. So these are all the geographical trademarks. That is Tirupati Laddu itself has been. So lots of time what happens is we will get into counterfeiting. Counterfeiting are fake products. So you can see Prada. Prada is one of the most famous um, t-shirts. Okay, if you see uh, the original Prada might sell for $50. $50 is around 4,000 rupees. These fake Pradas will sell for 300-400. We have a Rolex watch. They say very jokingly that 95% of the genuine watches of the world are fake, which means what are sold as Rolex in 95 times out of 100 is a fake because the original Rolex is too costly. And so Rolex watches are one of the most popular products to be counterfeited. Then we have Sharpie pens. Okay. So why is that these people actually do these violations? There is actually no law. So in India, brazenly people sell fake products and nobody is bothered, including the police. No, there is no enforcement of the law. And in many cases, the authentic products are not available. We don't know the difference between the authentic product and the fake product. And very high prices for authentic product that limit their accessibility to local consumer. For example, if a iPhone 14 is selling at 2 lakhs, not many people can afford it. But if the same iPhone or similar looking iPhone is sold at 10,000, people buy it. And a lot of times, cultural factors. In most Indian companies, we think that imitation is a form of flattery. So if somebody is imitating a product, we actually feel happy, and feelings of interpersonal distrust and not getting fair deals. So most Indians might feel that 2 lakhs is very costly for an iPhone. It is okay to have a fake phone. Emphasis on material wealth and believe that technology is a common domain. A lot of IT people actually believe that technology is something that is free and we can use it without paying anything. So I'm sure all of us have downloaded a lot of what is a software, and many, maybe not even 1% of us would have paid any money for registering and using. We will only use the free trial, what is a software, and we'll never pay for the premium. That is how the Indians. Okay, so I think we'll be cut in another minute. So how do we protect? We have TRIPS agreement. TRIPS agreement is trade-related aspects of intellectual property rights. Member countries throughout the world, which fall under the World Trade Organization, must sign the TRIPS agreement. So if at all, if you want to work in a foreign country, you'll have to have minimum standards for the legal protection of property rights. So these are enforceable both at bilateral and multilateral conventions, and listing home and host countries government support. So I think we have we have reached to the time. So we'll stop here. We have next time when we meet tomorrow.